Welcome to Strange Gossip. I'm Catherine.
And I'm Taylor, and this is going to be like your friend's take on the weird.
Because we're tired of real life problems and want to talk about spooky shit.
Welcome to the season finale of season 2. Crazy.
Wow, season 2. It really does just fly.
It does. Yeah, for sure. I feel like, by the time we're like a couple of freaking topics in, we're like, oh shit. It's kind of towards the end of the season.
That's exactly what happened. I feel like we were like, okay, like what do we want to do next week? And there was just one topic left.
I know. It's kind of helpful though when it does that because like picking topics, honestly, it's so hard. Like
so true.
Picking which like genre you want to do. But it's like I have like things. I don't know about you, but I have like a whole notes like idea pad going and I like try to like put them into like certain topics and stuff, but sometimes it's hard. I'm like, is it an uncomfy truth? Is it a superstition? What is it?
So true. I have a doc in our, you know how we have our little shared folder? I have a doc. It's so funny because I have a doc that says shared ideas, Taylor and Catherine, but I don't think I ever sent it to you. So it's
probably not. It's just you.
It's just me. And then in episodes, I've written notes for you, but I've been meaning to tell you about it. So it's hilarious that I'm telling you on the pod. So look there too.
Okay, good to know.
But it's funny. Like there's just so much. Like we're going to have this podcast into like hundreds and hundreds of episodes because there's so many things we can go into. On top of people, like the amount of people that just send us stuff. Like I just sent you.
I get like requests. There's a person at my front door.
Oh, shut it down. Hold
on. Wait, hold on. I want to know what the
Girl Scout cookies?
No, random dude.
He just rung your doorbell and walked away?
Yeah, like kind of, well, he's like lingering.
He's still there?
He's like probably like a, oh, he's still there, bitch.
Stop.
I'm not going.
Don't, that's freaking me out.
He's knocking on it right now, look.
You're not home. He's a survey.
I know, and I want to ignore it.
Yeah, I don't like.
This is the real strange gossip team. This is some strange shit. I hope you can't hear me talking right now.
No. It's a button. This is the real shit.
I mean, he can hear me through the door probably, but stop looking at me. Go away. He knows I'm fucking in here. Okay, he walked away.
Okay, good.
Why do they try though? I'm like, listen, like I get it. That's like your job, but like I swear he's gonna walk by. He can see me and like over here.
Peer into the windows.
I'm literally sorry, bud. Just not interested.
Recording sign.
I cannot. I don't know. He was either going to tell me that I need solar on my house or he was going to try to sell me a fucking magazine.
The solar people are out of control. Have you
Dude,
run into them?
I had a solar person come to my house. I said, I'm not interested. Okay. Dude left. 5 minutes later, I hear someone walking on my roof.
You're joking.
And he was like, no, your roof is like set up. And I'm like, bro, get the fuck off my house.
You're joking. That is so logic is that.
Like he carried around a freaking ladder, got on my roof after I said I was not interested and was like, no, this would be like the perfect spot for it. I'm like, sir, what?
That is like literally insanity. I'm sure you were like at least for me, I'd be like, okay, I said no. You're not thinking like, this person's on my roof.
Yeah. I was kind of pissed because like the more they step on your shingles, like it's not a good thing to have anybody on your roof.
Especially like, without your permission.
Yeah. I'm like, how do you know it's stable?
In this?
I had just got done telling him, I was like, we're going to rip it down to the studs and like redo it. Like there's no point. And this motherfucker's up there. I'm like, dude.
That is they are so abrasive that way though. That's the worst I've ever heard. Like that's pretty bad. I'm more so the people that like David's gotten trapped at Home Depot a couple times because they kind of hide themselves. Green peas? Yeah. And they're inside Home Depot. Like they're ready for it. And then there was a guy that just followed David around the whole store and just be like, but you might want it one day. And then David's like, dude, I'm shopping. Like there's no.
See, that's the thing. Like I'm sure solar is great and I probably would put solar on my house like when it's done, but like the way the sales tactics of it make me like it gives me the ick. Like is it an MLM?
True. Feels like
it. Like what?
I'm sure it's a commission based thing by how intense they go because it does kind of feel like an MLM.
They probably like outsell the amount of solar that your house actually needs because I see houses that have an absurd amount of solar panels on them. And I'm like, there's no way.
You need that much.
But it's probably because they can, like, they buy back the energy or whatever. So, like, the more, I don't know. There's got to be some type of, like, balance between I don't need this much solar and I only get this much paid to me if I have that much solar.
That's so true.
That.
Have you been getting any more, like, I've been getting so many calls for vacation packages recently. I don't know what's happening.
Oh my God, dude. Okay, not that. But I literally just had the weirdest shit happen today that I swear to God is some type of fucking scam.
Okay, tell me.
So I am driving to Chipotle to get my quesadilla. Okay, you can only get the quesadillas on your mobile app, by the way. Super bomb. So highly recommend.
Pro tip, quesadillas.
Literally driving there, and I get a freaking phone call. It's a 1-800 number, but it says Crate and Barrel, and I'm like, random. So I answer it because I like Crate and Barrel, right? So I'm like, fuck it, I'll answer it. And she's like, hey, this is so and so. I'm calling about your sectional order that's on hold. And I'm like, I didn't place an order for a sectional, but I've been fucking eyeing one for a minute, right? And I was like, I didn't place an order for a sectional. Are you sure this is the right number? And she's like, yeah, is this Taylor? And I'm like, yeah. And then she was like, is this your phone number? I'm like, clearly you're calling me on it.
Making it seem way more legit.
Then she like verified my email and shit. And I was like, I didn't place an order for a couch. Like, what kind of couch is it? She's like, it's like a 4 or 5 piece sectional and it's on hold because your credit card info didn't go through. And I was like,
Scam City.
What? And I was like, well, I'm in the middle of driving to get a quesadilla. Can you send me an email?
Yeah.
And she sent me the email with the order number. And it was like, hey, it's on hold. Like, come call and verify your credit card info and then we can get it sent. And I'm like, no,
I don't want it.
I look up the fucking shit. I go into my account and there's a full on maroon velvet sofa.
Ew.
$8,000. Yeah, terrible color too. I would never.
Maroon color.
I'm sorry. Look at my account details. I would never.
I love that I said ew as I have a pink couch behind.
Okay. Listen, it was different. It was like
maroon is just such a strong choice, and that's very not Taylor.
Yeah, no, very interesting. Not me, neutral girly. Okay,
yeah.
So and it had my address on it as the billing info. Had my Crate and Barrel credit card as the card, and then it was going to pick it up at the freaking Crate and Barrel in Ohio, and I was like, what the fuck? So I called them back. I'm like, hey, like I did not place this order. They're like, that's so weird. We don't usually like the person that was like helping. She's like, I've never seen that happen before. Like just change all of your passwords, change your freaking email, like report your card as stolen. So I did that.
Good.
But like someone had to have like gotten into my Crate and Barrel account of all fucking things.
And ordered themselves the most expensive couch.
And ordered themselves a couch. And I don't even have that much credit on the freaking credit card. It's like $2,000 credit limit, girlfriend. Like I'm not buying an $8,000 couch right now.
That's crazy. So yeah, someone must have gotten your like identity through your Crate and Barrel.
And it's so weird because I was like, I want a freaking Crate and Barrel sectional so bad. Like I have my eye on one, not that one, a leather one. Like, come on, girl, have better style than that. But I swear to God, that has to be something because I'm always on OfferUp because I'm like, why not get a deal?
Yeah,
and looking for a Crate and Barrel couch. And there's this one dude that always has like Restoration Hardware, Crate and Barrel couches, like always. And I'm like, how do you always have these? Like either he works there and they're like damaged out or something.
Yeah.
Or this motherfucker is getting into people's accounts and ordering shit. I don't understand it. But then I tried to look it up on like Google, like the Crate and Barrel scam, and there is no Crate and Barrel scam. So I don't know. Super weird.
But I guess it's like different from a scam because it's more like identity theft, right? Because like
I know.
Because I remember like, oh, sorry, go ahead.
No, I was just looking at all my other accounts, like this person.
Yeah, like change.
That's so weird.
All your passwords. But like I remember this was just a regular credit card, but I was in college and someone had stolen my credit card and bought like $800 worth of stuff in like a Walmart in South Dakota. And I was really upset.
I've had that happen.
Oh, it's awful.
Yeah. It's the gas station. Like they always rip them off the gas stations.
That makes sense. And like we were at an airport at the time and I went to go buy a sandwich and I was in college and it declined. And I have like, that would just never happen. I'm insanely responsible.
Yeah.
I was like panicked, called, and they're like, oh, well, you had this charge. So like we put your card on hold, or I think the charge had went through, but then they were trying it at other places. Weird.
Yeah.
And like, I think they had stopped it like midway. And then I was like really upset. And for some reason I used the term, and I don't know why, but I said, I'm going to bomb South Dakota. That's like what I said in anger.
In the airport?
But I said it in the airport. And David's like, excuse me.
Did anything happen though? Because I don't think that they actually do anything.
No, they didn't. No. Obviously, I don't think I wasn't screaming that. I was just so upset. And I said it like kind of loud to David. Like, I wouldn't even say that now. I don't know why I said that.
Bomb South Dakota.
South Dakota.
Fuck the whole state. Fuck the whole state.
That state stole my identity. How dare
Literally,
they?
fuck Ohio and South Dakota. Or is it North Dakota? South Dakota?
South Dakota. It's so funny because
North
it's like,
Dakota gets a pass.
We have like one listener that's like, how fucking dare they? I'm from South Dakota. Like, this is obviously jokes aside, but it's just so fucking funny. I was so mad.
I love that you feel like you had to clarify that. Like, no shit, girl. You're too sweet.
I'm too.
Like, no.
I'm
not gonna bomb
parade.
you.
PR parade.
That's classic.
Dude, that's so funny.
Listen.
Okay, well, anyway, the episode of the day.
Yes.
Today, before we jump into a little episode, do you have any other current topics beyond credit card fraud?
Okay. That was my main
fraud.
one. I did have one that I saw recently. Mm-hmm. Have you heard of iPhone finger?
No.
Okay, dude, because I saw a reel about it, and like they were like, yeah, look at your right hand or whatever hand you use your iPhone in. Is there an indent in your pinky from where your iPhone sits and not on your other side? And I have one.
Wait. What do you mean? Yeah, show it on cam.
My nails. This is terrible timing. My nails are disgusting right now. Okay, do you see that dip? They're saying that is because that's where your iPhone sits in your hand. I have one right here.
Wait, I have one on both sides, right?
I mean, that was the other thing. People are like, oh, it's because your foot, it's like your hand sits on your knuckle. But where mine is, my other one doesn't do that. So I'm like, how real is this?
Oh my gosh. Man, if we have it, could you imagine younger generations? They're probably going to be like, bam.
But it makes sense because you have your iPhone sitting there the whole time. Like my bone is literally like I could feel it dented. You guys will have to do it and let us know if you have a freaking iPhone dent in your pinky.
Oh no, I think I do.
Dude, and then I saw somebody else, I'm not going to name names, but I saw someone that you and I know post. It was like a picture of their hand for some reason.
Okay.
I don't know. Major iPhone finger. I was like, oh my God. Like that's rough. And that would be like, that is a person that would be like legit on their phone all the time. So I'm like, it checks. Do you have any current topics?
I have an update to a previous current topic.
Oh, okay. I'm into it. What is it?
Remember our sweet friends at Colossal Biosciences who are trying to bring back our favorite woolly mammoth?
Yes, I do.
Well, they just hit a new milestone by the creation of a long-sought kind of stem cell for the closest living relative of the woolly mammoth, which is like some elephant. Can't remember which one.
Okay.
But this is a big accomplishment in the early stages because scientists can now try to use cloning techniques and gene editing to manipulate the cells in hopes of someday creating elephants with the traits of mammoths. So like that's how they're going about it.
Oh, interesting. Because they can't get that from a woolly mammoth anymore, right?
Mm-hmm. So they have to kind of like genetically modify how they're built. I know. It is so out of like Jurassic Park. It's absurd, but that's how they're going about it. And like the traits that they're focusing on are heavy coats and like layers of fat that enable them to survive in super cold climates. So this is obviously still beginning phases of bringing back the woolly mammoth, but they're moving. Where
are they going to put it? By the time they do it, the ice caps are going to be gone.
It's so true.
And then they're going to be Texas. Like, oh my God. Yeah, right? These animals are going to be like, yo,
hot.
It's like just not hooking me up with the like right environment right now.
So true. But it's just crazy.
But that's exciting. That's like a step forward. The genetic manipulation just boggles my mind. It's kind of weird.
It's one of those things where it's very fun and cute to be like, oh my gosh, yay, woolly mammoth. But then you start really thinking about what they're doing and it's like, what?
I'm almost like, and I think I've talked about this on the pod before, but like I have an English bulldog. I can't support the breed. Like this dude can't even breathe. Like he literally can't, like they should work on genetically modifying bulldogs to be a bit more healthy.
Get their noses back because that's a huge component.
Help him out. Like the freaking soft palate. He had like soft palate surgery. It's like a whole thing. I won't recommend smush nose breeds because I think it's fucked up.
Did you see the it was like an article that came out about the longevity of life for dogs? It like equates to how long their noses are.
Oh yeah, this dude's gonna die by the time he's like 8.
But like that's kind of how they are because it's so hard to breathe and all the problems and stuff.
Yeah, it's a lot of work on their heart.
Oh, babies, little babies.
Anyway. Okay, well that's exciting about the woolly mammoth.
Yeah, we'll have pet woolly mammoths though.
Yeah, there you go. You can have them as pets.
Oh my goodness, wild. Well, do you have anything else, or should we kind of jump into it?
No, that was pretty much it.
Today we're covering superstitions.
Mm-hmm.
And I believe I'm
What's
going
a superstition?
first.
You are.
I am doing throwing salt over your shoulder.
Okay, I'm interested to hear. I've never actually done that superstition. I think I did it once, but it wasn't something I always like knew about.
Okay, that's fair. This is a weird one. Like just like knocking on wood, I do this one a lot. Well, when I had a kitchen, R.I.P. Kitchen
I know, no shit.
Hasn't been updated yet, or rebuilt yet, but I always do it. I don't know what it is. Like whether I spill the salt or I see spilled salt, I throw it. There's something weird about. I do it.
Well, now we're gonna find out if it was like a good thing that you're doing it.
Well, it's in the same thing of like. With knocking on wood, I just did it. And then I'm like, what training?
What am I doing?
Why do we do these things? I'm like, was this like a Catholic school guilt thing? Like, was this like a childhood thing? Like, but that's the thing. Like, you don't really know why you do it. And then you wake up older and you're like, okay, hold on. Not even. It's honestly the podcast.
You still do it. Yeah.
That's made me do it. So throwing salt over your shoulder is a common superstition that many people around the world practiced, and no surprise, a lot of chefs do when salt is spilled in the kitchen in fear of bad luck or a bad night in the restaurant. It's actually so common amongst chefs that if you're watching cooking shows, you'll just see it. Like you can almost have a drinking game of it because it is such a common like chef-specific superstition.
Okay.
And like I was just doing a lot of research about like who does it and who claims to do it. A lot of people said they didn't, but like their grandmas in the kitchen did, or they knew a chef that would. So it really is centered around cooking, which makes sense given where
that makes a lot of sense.
Salt would be. But the general premise of the superstition is that if you spill salt, it's bad luck, and throwing a pinch over your shoulder reverses it. Mm-hmm. Typically, it's thrown over the left shoulder because it's believed that that is where the devil lurks.
Oh, interesting.
And the devil comes up a lot when it comes to this superstition. And it makes sense why, because there's actually a lot of biblical ties to throwing salt over your shoulder.
Okay.
For example, in the book of Genesis, the story goes that God reveals to Abraham that Sodom and Gomorrah, sinful cities, are to be destroyed for their grave sins. Mm-hmm. Abraham pleads for the lives of the righteous people living there, including his nephew Lot and his family.
Okay.
God agrees to spare the cities if 50 righteous people can be found. And as they continue to discuss, they eventually come to an agreement if Abraham can find 10 people, 10 righteous people.
Calm down a little bit. 50's a lot.
Yeah, Abraham was like, 50? And God's like, okay, if we can find 10 righteous people, we will spare the cities.
That's funny. Okay.
So bar's low. Bar is very low.
Honestly, though, I don't know. That might be just right about where it is.
In this time. Yeah. So 2 men who are actually angels in disguise are sent to Lot, but are met with an angry mob. After a confrontation between the angels and the angry mob, the angels reveal themselves, which blinds the mob. The angels find only Lot and his family to be righteous, so they warn them to quickly evacuate the city and to not look back.
Okay.
As they fled the destruction, Lot's wife looks back and is turned into a pillar of salt.
Ooh.
Many believe that this tie of salt to evil is a big reason why the superstition exists as it does today.
Interesting.
Now, just as like a little side note, it would be very irresponsible of me not to mention a bit of a darker side of this story. Some scholars, I'm even going to say some scholars. Okay. Some people use this story as a lesson for like the anti-gay agenda, which is obviously messed up. But modern scholars tend to believe that this is a lesson about hospitality. Basically, the mob wanted the angels, and it's not clear why they wanted the angels. So people kind of put what they want on the intentions of the sinful mob. So unfortunately, when you hear this story, a lot of people just, use it for whatever they want it to be used for. But back to Lot's wife and her being turned into a pillar of salt.
Okay.
This is supposed to warn people what happens when you choose a worldly life over salvation. So instead of looking ahead and trusting the angels, she looked back at the sinful city and was punished. Keep the devil behind you or suffer the same consequence. Now you see, you toss salt behind you, keep the devil at bay, keep it behind you. That's kind of the...
Kinda, but I'm not like fully getting that though.
Fair. Well, we'll kind of jump a little bit more into it. Okay. So another component of so basically people use that story as like an initial of like, you keep you salt have as an evil thing connection.
Behind. Yeah. Okay.
And behind, yes. Don't look back or you will be a part of the salt that's left behind.
Right.
And that's just specifically the Bible story that people reference. So another component of this was at the time that salt was an expensive commodity and was crucial for preserving food, even at times used as currency. So spilling the salt was considered almost sacrilegious, and like throwing the salt over your shoulder was similar to like the same instinct as saying bless you to someone. Like it's a very like like
girl, I don't fucking throw hundreds over my shoulder. Like I would not be throwing money just like no.
I think that's like the intensity is like, oh my gosh, I just spelt money. It's kind of a weird reaction.
Let me throw more away.
Well, I think it's already the salt spilled. But yeah, exactly.
Okay, yeah. They're like, I threw my money away. Let me just like...
Yeah, let me like keep the devil, like this is a bad thing. Well, so throwing the salt over your left shoulder was to blind the devil from you doing a bad thing. So that was kind of the idea was, okay, you spilt something that's really precious.
Don't let the devil see it.
Don't let the devil see it, or keep the devil busy with the salt while you like fix your mistake. So it reminded me a lot of Knocking on Wood, because Knocking on Wood was also like distract the the fairies and trees. Yes. Like keep them busy so they don't listen to your drama. It's kind of the same thing. So left shoulder, is the devil, right, is your good side. So you're like you're blinding the devil that's on your left shoulder while like acknowledging the bad that you've done.
Okay.
And then, another religious component. So one widespread belief that salt is unlucky to spill is because Judas apparently spilled salt at the Last Supper.
Oh, boy.
I know.
It's a big day to be fucking up.
Salt was a very, like, how dare you touch this? And do you know the famous Leonardo da Vinci painting of the Last Supper?
Mm-hmm. I do.
So I'm actually going to pull it up. All right. Do you see it?
I'm looking for salt.
Okay, you ready? I'll zoom in.
Yeah. Oh, there he is.
There he is.
She stay spilled. How dare you?
How dare you spill the salt? I just keep
He looks
thinking
like
it's
he's straight ignoring it, though.
He bumped it and like, there's so many conspiracies about the Last Supper and the painting.
I know. Yeah.
Man, that could be a whole other episode. But basically, like, Judas is shadowed by, there's just so many things for the representation of that. But that painting was painted in 1495. So the idea of the superstition of throwing salt or spilling salt and it being bad luck, I mean, just way predates that.
Yeah.
And at the time of the painting, there was a common expression that went something like betray the salt, which basically meant like betray your master. So it would have really made sense for Da Vinci to paint the salt spilled as like because Judas betrayed his master. Yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And the legend actually, there's ties to ancient Rome with spilling salt and bad luck. So we're talking like BC, pre-Jesus. Okay. So salt was formerly a symbol of friendship due to its lasting qualities. So when you'd have friends over as guests, you'd present them with salt before serving food to signify the strength of the friendship and like protection that like, I got you, we're
Yeah, I'm preserving you.
Yeah, I'm preserving you like this friendship. That's cute.
That's cute.
So if that salt was spilled, it's like the equivalent of spitting in someone's face and being like, we're not friends.
Yeah.
like it was a little bit more of like a tie to it's more like it felt like a dinner party etiquette.
Yeah, that
to
makes
what
sense.
it's giving. So obviously take all of that with a grain of salt.
Let's see what you did there.
And because it really is like all these different things can contribute to where it is today. But
Right.
this is just hundreds and hundreds and hundreds
So
of years
weird.
of what leads to it. And another reason why throwing salt over our shoulder is so prevalent today is because all around the world, like different countries have different meanings. And because salt was such a commodity everywhere, salt is still used in different like practices for religion and so many different things because of its like value.
Yeah.
And one example of this is actually ancient Egyptians. Okay, do I not sound like ancient aliens is about to happen?
Ancient Egyptians.
Ancient alien theorists just
I love
in
it.
my brain. So ancient Egyptians, Greeks, and Romans invoked gods with salt offerings. So that was a really common practice for their own gods. And actually scholars, when they're trying to originate like how holy water came to be, they actually think this was the origin, was these offerings with salt. It kind of led to the modern day holy water of Christianity, which I was like, whoa, it's huge. It all kind of comes back to religion
Is
with
holy
this one.
water? Is holy water salted water?
You know, I don't know. And you and I both went to Catholic school, so you think we would know?
I don't think it is. I think it's just.
I think it's
just
blessed water.
Blessed water. Yeah.
But I'm not quite sure what goes into the water. You know what? Let's do a quick Google.
Yeah, I wonder if
Holy
it's salted water.
Salt water. It must be, right?
I think so. Maybe.
Holy water is sometimes mixed with salt. Ooh.
Sometimes. Oh.
Oh, exorcised and blessed salt has traditionally been added to holy water as well. Okay, this is like a... Yeah, before the 1970s, holy water contained both salt and water. The salt was first exorcised, then blessed. Wild.
Okay.
There's so much there too. All to say, what have we learned today? Don't be salty. If you've spilled salt, throw it over your left shoulder and move on with your day.
Interesting. See, I thought there would be like more, honestly, thought there'd be more to it and it wouldn't have like such religious ties. That's crazy.
It's a very religious superstition. I know, it's kind of fascinating because I think salt, you know, everyday thing we have now, but like given like the historical ties to wealth with salt and like how, you know, just to preserve your food and keep it, like of course it makes sense that this was a very big commodity. So it would make sense that like that mixed with like religious beliefs, because this does go forever. Like it maybe not necessarily is the same as throwing it over your shoulder. I feel like that just came over time with the devil on your shoulder and how all that kind of works. But it is kind of the same principle of salt spilled, bad luck, devil.
Interesting. But you know what's weird? A lot of times in like, I don't know, like paranormal rituals or like really anything, you put a salt ring around and it's supposed to keep evil spirits out. So like, why does the devil not like salt?
There is something very, that's a great question.
Like, not my vibe. But I don't know. That's just weird. Like, what is it with the salt? It's pure. Well, it's not purifying.
No, but it is like a,
it's like
a preservation. It represents like preservation, wealth. But yeah, it's odd that, I mean, it's probably also related to holy water. You know what I mean? Like there's something in the way of salt being used in, I mean, if salt's used in holy water, and I don't know, there is something specific about the devil and salt because.
What's up with devil and the salt? He doesn't like it.
I don't know.
I don't like that my Slack keeps going off either.
Oh,
Shut the fuck up, people. I don't want to work anymore.
We're done. Throw salt on them.
For real. We're done. Be gone, devil.
Keep salt in your pockets. But that's kind of technically spilled salt.
Do you know how salty we are? We're very salty people. Do the people that get like, what's it called? Possessed? Are they just like, they have like a low sodium intake?
Ooh, they need to, you know what? We should check their blood levels.
We should do some studies. Yeah, how's your blood pressure doing? How's your arteries? You need to beef that shit up with some salt.
Just eat a little pho. You'll be golden. There's so much salt.
You're fine. Oh my God.
That's so wild. But that's the origin. So religious based. Crazy.
I'm going to take you from like religious, like that side of it to like the metaphysical side. So I feel like this is like actually kind of perfect.
Ooh.
That it worked. Because I feel like they're two different practices, right? Like the crystal girls are definitely like a little bit different. There's probably some like super religious crystal girls, but not always. It's usually like kind of woo-woo science. Like there's like there's like the meditation and all of that kind of stuff that's like very different. So I feel like they're kind of like, I feel this is going to sound stupid. Crystals are like their own religion to some people.
Oh, okay? I totally agree with that.
They get on board and they don't get off. So if you don't know, I guess I'm technically a crystal girl. Like there's crystals in my house. Like you could see them. But I'm not a crystal girl in the same way that some people get like die hard with them. And they're like, no, this one does this kind of thing. But if you don't know, I have run a crystal business in the past. It was called Monocrystals. I had it for like
a minute.
Two, almost 3 years.
Yeah.
And I would do, I think we talked about this on the pod, but I would do like crystal live sales and like people so into it. So I know what all the crystals are supposed to do, like the back of my hand, because it's like encyclopedia in my head.
I love this.
And I would go over it like when I was selling them, like, hey, this crystal is supposed to do this. But I was never like the one, like there are some people that sell them and they get so into it. They're like, yeah, no, this will like cure cancer. And I'm like,
that's a little far.
Girl, I'm like, I almost took like the point of like, oh, they're pretty and I like them in my house as decor.
Yeah, for sure. You know? For sure.
But there are some people though, like some people still bought from me that like were very like, they thought that they were doing things, you know? So it depends. But today I'm going to go into the superstitions of crystals and how and what the science is to actually see if they're a placebo effect or if there's some truth to what crystals can do.
I'm so hooked. I did not know what you were doing today. This is very exciting.
Yeah. No, I was like, why?
Yeah.
Why do we think they do stuff?
Buckling in.
Yes. So the crystal community, I'll kind of like read like the points of views. So they think that since all matter is made up of atoms and matter equals energy, it's easy to say that they have energy as all matter does. So humans are made up of atoms too, obviously, but they're not constant and we're generally inconsistent and therefore unstable. I don't know who the fuck you're talking to, bitch, but yes, I am unstable. Thank you. I mean, not wrong. But they say crystals, however, are made up of they're made up of repeating atomic structures over and over again, causing a very stable vibration. Each type of crystal has a different atomic makeup, which leads to a different vibration. Now, for the metaphysical part, they believe by interacting with a crystal, that stable vibration of the crystal can help align our vibration with the vibration of whichever crystal you're touching. So they think like our unstable vibration, if we have something that's really stable, will help kind of align us a little bit. So that's kind of the thought of most of like the crystal metaphysical community. But they go like I said, really deep into like each single different type of crystal does different things for whatever reason. So when I was doing research, I came across Dr. David Hamilton. He's a PhD and writer in organic chemistry and pharmaceuticals. And he brought up 3 points as to why he thinks crystals may work based on his research. And he went into this as a skeptic as well, just so you know. So he was like, I was not expecting to find these things.
Wild. Okay.
But he was like, there may be something to it. So he says quartz crystals have a physical property called diamagnetism, in which it can bend a magnetic field around it. So like this crystal, for instance, it's saying like the magnetic field will kind of like bounce around the crystal. So they have diamagnetism, which can bend that field. And it's a very light form of magnetism that is induced by a change in the orbital motion of electrons due to an implied magnetic field. So basically what I just showed you. But there's research that shows that increases and decreases in the Earth's magnetic field directly affects like plant growth and things, because they were doing this research to like bring plants to Mars. And obviously like magnetic field is definitely different than here on Earth. So they were like doing studies. But they show that plants still grow in the absence of a magnetic field, but it's much slower. So like you can influence how quickly like plants will grow with the magnetic field. Crazy.
Wild.
Yeah. So the thought is like, well, then that can have effect on humans. However, this has not been thoroughly studied. So there is a research or like a experiment that was done where they put people in an electromagnetic shielded room. So like removed all the electromagnetic fields and then replicated the Earth's magnetic fields. And when they rotated it from one direction to another, it showed that people's brainwaves abruptly changed.
Whoa, that's crazy.
Like they basically, like I looked into the study, they basically think we have a sixth sense on like the magnetic field. Wow. And like we can always tell which way is north and things like that. So similar, like some animals use it to like get around and stuff.
I was just thinking, have you seen the study of like, I think I saw on TikTok, so really grain of salt for this one, but that dogs, when they're sniffing to like when to go to the bathroom, they spin it. It's because of that.
So they think humans have that too.
Wild.
But they don't really know what we're using it for, but that we can definitely sense it. It's important to note though that like the amount of diamagnetism in crystals is much weaker than that.
Of course.
Like so weak, but like maybe there's some truth to it that we feel it. Mm-hmm. I don't know. I mean, it's there, but it's a really weak amount of diamagnetism. So
it's not the room that's changing.
Yeah, it's not like your whole axis is being tilted and you're like, oh my God.
That'd be the craziest feeling. Like I cannot imagine what that would feel like.
I know. Like I wonder what, like, do you just feel off? There was also, okay, this is off topic and I wasn't going to talk about it, but when I was looking at the research, they were saying that when it totally flipped like 180, they didn't recognize it. And they thought it was because like if you're a northern hemisphere person, you're always used to it in one direction. And then if you go down to the south per se, your brain negates it because it's like, no, that's so wrong. And it just exits out.
Whoa.
Like it's like, no, not right.
Yeah.
Like our brain does that to some things. Like when things come in and it's like not valid data, it's like,
let's go. It's so
we're
true.
not even acknowledging it. And it happened in that study. Which
That's
is so weird.
wild. I mean, this goes back, you know how this is our do. I already got it. Well, this is less to each other, but more to brain stuff. We just do not understand the brain, like with all those like other lives and the sleeping and all the things we've talked about in the past. It's like, man, do we just not understand what's going on there?
No, we don't. Not in the least. Did you know that your brain actually shrinks when you're pregnant too?
Okay, I'm sorry, what?
And like pregnancy brain is apparently like a real thing. Like your brain actually shrinks. And they say that it shrinks so it can get more, so it could be more effective with the less amount of like gray matter. Oh, I don't know. There's some shit going on in the human brain.
Being pregnancy too, your body, it's crazy. Crazy.
How do you just even grow a body without even like, where's the fucking playbook? I don't know.
Oh, apparently ain't nobody got one.
I don't know.
Crazy.
But in addition to the brain stuff, so in cognitive psychology, there is like this saying, like not a saying, but like a thought or a philosophy that if there's a mental representation of something, it helps to achieve better outcomes. So basically saying like, if I think that this citrine crystal brings about wealth and good luck, and I visually have that as like a visual thing for it, I'm probably going to have more wealth and good luck because I have a visual representation of it.
Ooh, I believe that so hard.
So that's what I think a lot of times is what crystals are. It's like the physical, like being able to like think of it and like have that as like your thing that's helping you do that. I think that's really kind of what it is, but super interesting. So cognitive psychology thinks it's that. But there is also something to be said for color psychology as well. So for instance, red encourages like impulse buying. I'm sure you've heard of this with like logos and marketing and things, like different colors like evoke different emotions out of people. So it is kind of something like that. So crystals of a certain color, because of what the color represents, may cause psychological changes in those that work with them. There was a study where scientists gave a cherry-flavored drink that was colored green, and 37% of the participants said that they could not taste cherry, and they put it down as lime or lemon flavored. Which basically just goes to show that the color of something definitely influences what your brain is processing, specifically in like the flavor and taste department, but also I think just in general. Like there's like definitely like a strong psychological connection to colors. And I think that's where a lot of like the different crystal colors will do different things for people, right? Like they're like the blue crystals are very calming and they go to your throat chakra and that kind of thing. It's got to do something with color psychology. So those were his 3 main points. And he's like, yeah, maybe there's something to be said for that. But there was also this study done in 2001. It was a crystal study. And it was basically, it showed that the power of crystals was in the eye of the beholder. Okay. So
I believe that.
It has not been published, but it was presented at the European Congress of Psychology in Rome. Wow. Basically, 80 people filled out a questionnaire that gauged their level of belief in the paranormal. And then later they were asked to participate and meditate for 5 minutes while holding either a real quartz crystal or a piece of glass. I just want to say, obviously, if we took that, we would be like on the scale of like believers.
Yeah,
so
we would be
like,
way like
interested, like what we would do in there. But so they gave everybody like either a real crystal or a piece of glass. They were not told which one they got, so it was a blind study. Afterward, participants answered questions about the sensations they felt at the time. They found that people who tested high in the paranormal belief tended to experience greater sensations than those who didn't. There's also a quote from this study by Christopher French, a professor of psychology at Goldsmiths University of London. He says, "We found that lots of people claimed that they could feel odd sensations while holding crystals, such as tingling, heat, and vibrations, if we told them in advance that that might happen. In other words, the effects reported were a result of the power of suggestion, not the power of crystals." He wound up writing this off as placebo effect.
Wow. I believe it though. Like it is such a, again, this kind of goes back to the brain. Like it really is.
It is a brain thing. Like
because you'll experience it. Like the people that go through that and have that,
think they have it.
It is their reality. Like that is what they're experiencing. So you can't remove that reality because that is what's happening. But so much of that is that your power of perception. And like, I think we covered it on the pod, but I think we talked about it and we have a separate episode we need to post about crystals because I think we might have cut it out because I think we spent
we did
30
cut that
minutes.
Out, huh?
Yeah, because I think it was like 30 minutes long and we were like,
we went down a rabbit hole of crystals already. But
we did.
Yeah.
And long story short,
Yeah.
that was what we talked about. Yeah, I went to my first crystal store with a friend and we had a great time, you know, and they but there definitely is like sales tactics they use to tell you about what does what, and then you get kind of in it. But it's like I'll be editing Strange Gossip. Like, hello, that's the name of this. And I got this one, the
Pyrite,
the La Fool's Gold one, and they're like, oh, it's good for creativity. And I'm like, cool. But now when I'm editing and I'm thinking, I'll just hold it and rub it, and it like gets me in the zone. And I'm like, it is kind of this like I attribute it to that because they said that. Whoop.
See, well, it's either the cognitive psychology of like wanting to have it and like having the mental representation, but like an actual physical object, or it is placebo because placebo works. So there was a 2008 study where 679 psychiatrists responded to a survey. Half of the surveyed internists and rheumatologists reported prescribing placebo treatments on a regular basis. Wow. 56 to 58% of them, depending on how the question was phrased. Most physicians, 62%, believe that the practice is ethically permissible. Few reported using saline, about 3%, or sugar pills, about 2%, as placebo treatments, while large proportions reported using over-the-counter analgesics and vitamins. So 51% and 38% kind of said that they were actually using other things as placebo treatments within the past year. A small but notable portion of the physicians reported using antibiotics. So 13% of people, like these physicians, are literally giving out antibiotics as a placebo. And sedatives. Ooh. Sedatives at 13% Ooh. As placebo treatments during the same period. So basically, these physicians who use placebo treatments most commonly describe them to patients as potentially beneficial medicine or treatment not typically used for their condition. 68% say that that's how they give them. Wow. Only rarely do they explicitly describe them as placebos, 5%.
Well, yeah, I feel like if you tell them you're giving them a placebo, there goes the point.
But like if physicians are so confident that like if I give you a random vitamin and tell you that it's going to help, you're probably going to come back and tell me that it worked.
That's wild.
68% of them will give you a placebo.
I mean, have you heard the story? I think they turned it into a movie, but it was based on a true story about, I got to shorten this because this will also take a minute. But it's the story of this grandmother who was kind of like the matriarch figure in the family. And she was like feeling some aches and pains. So she goes to the doctor with her daughter. Mm-hmm. And she has a bunch of children. She goes with her daughter. And then the doctor pulls the daughter aside and goes, hey, your mom has cancer and it's progressed and she really only has 6 months to live. Do you want me to tell her or do you want to tell her? And she was like, I'll tell her. I'll get the family involved and we'll tell her. And then so the grandma was like, oh, what's this about? And she's like, oh, don't worry about it. Like something separate, like whatever makes up the lie. And then she takes her home and then she talks to her siblings of like, how are we going to tell her like what's going on? And they were like, going back and forth on whether or not they should, because like, do you want to know before you're going to die? Like, it's kind of a complicated thing, but like, will that make her so depressed because she already is older? And then one of the siblings had a child. So the grandson was getting married and they were like, well, why don't we just have them have their wedding, but we'll kind of make it more of a goodbye party for her. So then they loop in the grandson to be like, oh, like can you have a wedding? And it's like a secret wedding that's like, don't feel any pressure to do anything, but we'll tell grandma that it's a wedding.
What the fuck?
So they go through with it and they throw a wedding. And throughout this wedding, like, it's just so catered to the grandma that even the grandma's like, thank you.
I would be like, the fuck? Yeah.
Like, why is this so about me? People are crying and like, hugging her and like they're grieving, but the grandma has no idea. So the wedding happens and this beautiful thing happens. And then it comes to around the time of when the doctor said she would die, and she didn't die. And then a year passes, and then 2 years passes, and 3 years pass, and then she was totally fine. And so it's like a story of like how much if they would have told her, would she have given up? And like, is that a part of the psychology of health? I don't know. I think that's
interesting. Like people that fight it, like people that have like a better spirit of like fighting things can get through it than like a pessimist, I guess.
I really believe that. I really think that there is something to that. I don't quite understand what, but I definitely think there is something to like, where's your mental health when you're going through something really intense?
Yeah, 100%. No, I think placebo is definitely a thing. And I think that we take more placebos than we think we do on a day-to-day basis. And like, fuck it. If it works, I'm taking it. I don't care. Like if I need to tell my brain that it's fine.
Chill.
Cool. Like I'll do it. So it's, true. I think crystals, there's a big part of crystals that is that, you know? But I did want to think, like, I wanted to go into it too, because I was like, is there something to be said for the way we use crystals in electronics? Because I'm sure you know, we use crystals in a lot of things. And there has to be a reason or something that makes them suitable for those things. So quartz and silicone crystals are used most widely in modern times, right? So a lot of our like technology, like this probably has a quartz crystal or silicone crystal, or computers or headphones, like literally everything.
I did not know this.
Oh, girl, it's freaking everywhere. So
Whoa.
quartz has a unique ability to convert electrical energy into mechanical energy. And so when a quartz crystal is put under pressure, it creates an electrical charge, which can then be focused. It's known as I think it's a I don't know how to pronounce it exactly, but I think it's called piezoelectric effect. So the effect can also be used in reverse. By applying electrical charge to a crystal, it converts that energy into mechanical energy. Because of this, you will find crystals being used in sonar, ultrasound, radios, transistors, computer chips, and digital watches, just to name a few. And then quartz can also produce a small electrical charge, which can create a spark, which is used in gas-powered appliances. So ovens, grills, heaters, lighters, all use quartz crystals. It's also not just quartz that's being used. Obviously, silicone is also used in semiconductors, solar panels, and the reason that today's tech hub, Silicon Valley, is named the way that it is.
Totally makes sense. That's wild. I did not know that. I mean, that makes sense.
But even like the random like ones, like there's like rubies are used in lasers till this day.
Wow.
Like the most random crystals that you'd be like, what the fuck? They're used in things. Obviously, a lot of these crystals are like man-made. Like once we realized we can use them, we made them in their most pure form. Like basically like what we're doing in diamonds too. But we do use these like on a day to day. Like there's crystals all around us, and they're not going to look like the crystals that I would sell or something. But they're used in like little boards and everything. So definitely interesting. There's different types of crystals and things that you wouldn't even think of. So if you think the crystal girlies are cringe, you probably have more crystals in your house than you would like to admit. Your car, your cell phone, your TVs, all would not work without them. So
that's a good point. That's a good point.
Something to be said for the crystal energy. You know what I mean?
That's a great point.
But there's like, they had to be, and I think it's because of like that structure, again, like how like clean the structure is of a crystal that you can apply that energy and it'll be used. I think obviously it's done at a very intense scale, and that's why it happens. Like, do I think that we can do that with our own energy into a crystal? Maybe. But I think again, it's more of like the brain side of the house for like the actual like crystals that we have like in our like houses and stuff outside of our electronics. But there was also, I don't know if you've heard about this study, the observer effect. Have you heard of it?
Maybe.
Okay, so quantum physicists have done experiments that seem to indicate that particles function differently when being observed. And it's actually more so when they're being measured. So like there's like this slot that these atoms and particles would go through. And if they were being measured, they would go into a different fucking slot. It's like weird. I haven't done like full deep dive on it. And like, honestly, it could probably be its own episode, but it's like this huge thing in quantum physics right now that particles act differently when they're being measured.
What?
Why? Yeah. Like why? Nobody knows why. And so the assumption would be that conscious attention affects physical objects and like their particle structure. And so the geometrical structure of particles that make up crystals could have effect on the physical particles by consciously interacting with them. Now, keep in mind, this is an out there theory, and obviously that's like not like the main point of like what that experiment was out there to prove. And it obviously needs more testing, but it's definitely interesting. Like, do particles react differently when being the thing is that a lot of people are confused with like observed or measured, like what is the difference? But yeah, you should look into it. It's like really weird, the observer effect.
That is gonna be what gets me to believe in telekinesis.
Yeah, like there's something like there
telekinesis.
The physics side of the house is like, oh, what the fuck? Like it's weird. Like you would think that
it
even if
matter.
It wasn't being measured, it would just do the same thing.
For sure. Yeah, because that just gives it a whole other.
Right. So like if particles act differently and I like consciously think about this and I'm looking at it, does it make it react a different way?
Oh my gosh, that's wild.
But yeah, that's all to say. I feel like we talked about like a couple times, I really think it's a mix of placebo and like just kind of like what your psychology will put onto it. And like, it'll make you feel better. Like I have stuff on my desk, like this is like supposed to help with like communication. I don't know, dude. I tripped over my words like 5 times today. Does it work? Maybe it's more helpful than if I didn't have it. I don't know. But I also am like in the house of like, they're really cool things that came out of the earth. So like, why not have them?
Totally.
But I don't know if they work to the same extent. Like it would be interesting. Obviously that one study on crystals kind of did do it. Like if you really believe in crystals, do they work better for you than if like you don't believe in it? I don't know.
Wow.
And some people might hate on that I have like a whole crystal company. I'm like, I don't know about it. But like, I feel like that's healthier than like, you know,
it's better than
like
selling like snake oil.
Polarized.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like it's not
well,
like
snake
you were
oil,
like,
they say snake oil they're saying is like essential oils, but there's actually studies done that essential oils work.
Oh my gosh.
Certain ones. Obviously, I mean, they're like they can be herbs and that's like basically what medicine is. But not to the extent that I think people are selling
cure
essential
cancer.
oils.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know what I mean?
It is very extreme.
Yeah, but no, there is like health benefits to some essential oils if you do it right.
Like with essential oils, like I mean, it's the quickest MLM I've ever seen. I feel like everyone was selling essential oils for a minute. Whereas like, but yeah, like I remember like I will smell lavender oil because it actually does make me feel better when I have a migraine. And that makes 100%. Sense, right? It's like aromatherapy is totally a thing and can definitely bring like a more calming, and who knows in what capacity and how much, but it does help. It definitely does help people with migraines. But there's always a too far. I feel like you're like, oh, like this helps. And like, I feel like there is this might help personality. You, or it becomes this will cure all your problems, mostly financial for some reason.
It's like it's also like the priests that will like have people come up stage and be like, I cure you of fucking, I don't know, spina bifida. And like they can like walk. It's like, dude,
I don't even know what spina bifida is.
Spina bifida. Spina bifida.
Bifida. I still don't know what that means. I still don't know what that means.
It's a congenital thing. Like when you like, it's like you fucking brain, like what? Now you have me like, trying to explain it and I'm like, shit. It's when your neural tube doesn't develop properly. And you're like, oh my God.
See, when I was younger, I went to church and I had it resolved for me. So that's why I don't know.
Exactly. It got knocked out of you. You don't even know.
Don't even need to know.
Oh my God, that's fucking classic.
So hilarious. Okay.
But it's like, but there is, basically there's 2 extremes to everything, I feel like.
That's so true. I just think, the power of other people's telling you that you're good is really a thing. It is fascinating.
No, it's true. Yeah.
It is fascinating. That's crazy. Yeah. That's such a good one.
I know. So what do you think? Like, do you feel like your crystals? I guess you do kind of feel like your crystal helps.
Yeah, I do. I think it's not like I get prescribed a crystal and that's why it works kind of thing. I think it's because this was my first like foray into crystals. LA, very crystal powered town.
Yeah.
But I know the extreme. I've seen the extremes, but I personally really like the idea of, I see it on my desk and it reminds me of like an intention. Like I really love.
I think that's super powerful.
Yeah.
Being reminded of it, you're more likely to do it.
For sure.
You know, like you're going to strive for that and you're going to feel like you've taken that, like that quality and you're going to embody it. And it's probably going to help you get to what you need.
Yes, absolutely. You know? Like so I went with a girlfriend and she got David and I, they were staying with us and she was like, for like hosting us and like hanging out, she got us each little, quartz, the little rose quartz ones.
Yep. Yeah. And see, but some of those, like that one's like almost so clear that it's like, is it glass?
It probably is. Well, to the point though, so she got us both one of them and these represented like love. And I self-love. And so I actually put it under a Stumpy Dumper that David made me, the little cutie pie. And every time I see it, I think about how grateful I am for my relationship.
See?
And I'm like, it's less about the
actual crystal.
And more just like, oh, I get to have a little bit of gratitude every time I see it.
It's a thought that you put into it. 100%.
And that
there's actually like, there's opals. So like, I don't know if I have an opal right now. No, I don't. But there's opals that are legit actually glass, but they're just so pretty that people buy them anyway because they're like, fuck it.
Yeah.
But yeah, like
pretty
I think
aesthetic.
it really is. It's the intention you put behind it and like what it reminds you of that really kind of matters.
I agree. I think that's what I get out of it. And like there's something else about fidgeting and like
for sure.
Especially when I'm editing or like watching footage down, I'm a big nail biter, so it's nice when I'm holding the fool's gold one. And I'm just like, oh, like this is for creativity.
I have my alien head that's like ocean jasper alien head.
Oh my God, I love it.
Will always like talk on the phone and be like playing with my alien head.
What is that?
It's just like a jasper.
That's so cool.
Alien head.
What the heck? Where'd you get that from?
I know. Dude, Tucson. I went to the Tucson gem show to like pick up like all this stuff. And I bought like a ton of these. And you know what's weird is they didn't sell very well. And I was kind of pissed. I was like, this is the fucking wrong audience for me because bitch, what do you mean?
That's a strange gossip audience, not a crystal audience, because I'm in.
I was in the wrong audience there. And I was like, you know what? This is when I knew. I was like,
so funny.
I think we're on the wrong page, guys.
Strange gossip merch for the future.
Exactly. Yeah. Oh my God. I should source like the crystal heads. That would be sick.
I love it. Okay. Well, Taylor, what is the do-do-do-do-do-do-do of the week?
I think that the do-do-do-do of the week is that people, whatever you believe you're going to do, like throwing salt over your shoulder, it's a belief. Like, I don't know if it's really a belief, but it's just like a practice that you'll do. And so I think the brain is like a powerful tool, and that's why we do things.
It's so true, because if you're going to have anxiety about spilling salt, you get to kind of remove that anxiety because you did something.
Right, which was a placebo effect.
Exactly. Like the salt was still spilled, but you get to kind of absolve yourself of this guilt in the same way that, your brain, the power of the brain and crystals, right? Salt crystals, it's kind of similar.
Salt is a crystal, by the way.
So
that is a damn doo-doo-doo-doo.
Yeah. That's amazing. All right. Well, anything else before we sign off for season 2?
No, that's pretty much it. We'll see you guys next season. And let us know what you think.
Let us know what crystals
season
you own.
3.
Bye.
Bye.